So your son just got his first message from a college coach, and now there's a call scheduled. Exciting, right? But here's the truth. Most families have no idea what to expect, and that call can make or break the opportunity. I've helped hundreds of athletes go through these exact conversations. I remember my own first call like it was yesterday. So let me help you get this right. Now, first off, realize that this first call probably isn't a scholarship offer. It's an evaluation. The coach is trying to learn 3 things. Is your son coachable? Does he fit the program's culture? And are there any red flags? Understanding that changes everything about how you prepare. So let's talk about what really happens on the call, what your son should say, and what not to do. First off, you have to realize it's a conversation, not an interview. Coaches aren't expecting polished answers. They want authenticity, confidence without arrogance. This is one of the biggest things that we try to explain to a lot of the families. It's not like you're talking to the Pope. It's not like you're talking to a president. You're just talking to another human being. If anything, you should realize that they're probably close to like a lot of your friends, a lot of your teammates. They probably played football and were in your shoes at some point. And they also just love football. I mean, that's what they do for a living. So like, if anything, just realize that this conversation isn't something to be scared of. Obviously, if you're nervous, that's perfectly fine. It's a big deal for your son. It's a big deal for your family. You don't need to go in there expecting that it is some kind of interview. Obviously, treat it seriously, take it seriously, but it's not going to be this super polished thing. It's really just a conversation for them to get to know more about you. And the biggest thing is that we want the conversation being left at with the coach feeling very confident and feeling like you are a good fit for them. And so what I mean by that is like, you want them leaving that conversation thinking, dang man, I love talking to that kid. He seems like just a great character. Seems like he's super confident. Seems like just the kind of kid that you want in your locker room. Because ultimately, they're gonna offer you a scholarship based on your film, based on your play, of course. Like talent, what you're actually putting on the field is important. You're not going to convince someone to give you a scholarship over the phone. That stuff is usually pre-approved beforehand by the head coach or by the coordinator of the side of the ball they are talking to, whether that's offense or defense. When they hop on that phone call, they're either gonna offer you a scholarship or not, just according to previous conversations and previous evaluations that being made. And so if they're not gonna offer you a scholarship, your only goal is to just make sure that there is no reason for them not to offer you a scholarship later. You don't want that conversation to be a blemish in your resume or in your evaluation where they go, you know what, he's got pretty good film, he's got pretty good grades, but you know, that conversation I had with him, like he just seemed kind of like standoffish, didn't really like invoke a lot of confidence to me, versus like this one kid that we talked to that was a really like, seemed really confident, like a really good kid that we won in the locker room. I think we're gonna take this kid over this kid because their films are equal. You want yourself in that conversation to give you a boost. It's not gonna be the sole reason that gets you a scholarship offer, but it can hurt you to some extent and cause you to be lower on the board just because of relationships and how you come off. So make sure you're confident in that conversation, you're relaxed, having fun, you should be making jokes, should be having a good time. You want it to just be a good, clean conversation. They're going to ask more than just football. Now, obviously, you know, when you get on campus, you're going to be playing football for them. Like football is going to be your thing that you're going to be doing for them. And when they're offering you scholarships, they're offering you tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, to play football for them to win games. But expect questions about grades, family, interests. They're also evaluating your maturity and fit. Now, if your thing is just like you're 100% football, then be authentic and answer that question correctly, but it's perfectly fine to have on their interests, to fish, to golf, to do whatever, because also these are other things that you can have conversations about. Coaches want to be relatable and have, you know, different things that they can talk about with recruits, just like, again, any other human. And so the more that you bring up, the better it is, so that we can show coaches that you have different stuff that you do. And again, just showing that you're a good fit, because trust me, just like any other football team, like not everyone's doing football 100%. People have different interests, have different hobbies. If you like to play video games, say it, that's perfectly fine. No coach is gonna go, you play video games, you're crossed off my list. That's very normal for a 14 to 18-year-old to be playing video games, and shoot, the coach might be even playing video games himself. And so it's just being aware of like, you know, how authentic you want to be, just being open about it and giving the coach the full picture, as well as being confident with that and sharing it within a good light. Your son should ask questions too. Now, this is where a lot of athletes blow it. You want to have at least 2 to 3 thoughtful questions ready, it shows genuine interest. And so this is one of the biggest mistakes I think a lot of athletes make, is that the coach basically just rambles on for most of the conversation. Now, to be fair, in a conversation, and this goes for any conversation that you have with someone that you're trying to get to like you, this is a little psychology tip here, you want that person to be talking more than you. Absolutely. Because you want them to be sharing more information, talking more than you, just because you want them to talk more about themselves or whatever they're talking about, because everybody's favorite topic is themselves. So you want them to talk about themselves. But the thing is, like, you shouldn't be completely quiet, and you should be essentially getting them to talk about themselves by asking them questions about themselves. And so what I mean by that is, like, you're having a conversation and they may ask you like, hey, Trenton, how's the season going? Oh, it's going pretty well. Like, give them a quick blurb. Doesn't have to be super long, but you can go into some details about how the season's going, things you're doing, all that stuff. And then ask them, how's your season going? Obviously, that, I feel like that should be pretty obvious, but of course, I just want to make sure you understand that. And then also, like, at the end of the conversation, you may ask, hey, you have any questions about our program? You should have some questions ready about, like, stuff that you care about, their offense, their academic programs. Like, for me, what I would often ask my questions is like, what do you expect from your quarterback? What kind of offense do you run? Or if I knew what offense they ran, I would be prepared with a certain type of question related to their offense. Like, for example, I was talking to this one D2 school, and actually I didn't know this until he mentioned it, but they run it spread style, and this was back in 2022. So Tennessee was doing really well at that point. And one of the things that Heupel does and their offense does is they run the super wide spreads, the wide splits of their receivers. And so they said, this coach said, hey, we run basically Tennessee's offense. We run super wide splits, try to spread out, super air raid heavy. And I was like, that's awesome. I'm a quarterback. I love that. And so I was asking more in-depth questions about why they do those splits, what kind of concepts they run, kind of concepts I like. I'm a big fan of like Y cross. So they were, we were jamming on cross concepts. That just takes it another level to where that coach really liked me. And I actually still have a good relationship with this coach because of that. You want to have these really good questions to, again, just make it a conversation, make it an engaging conversation. One that the coach walks away and goes, man, that was really awesome. Like, I really like that guy. And so that way he can go back to the recruiting meetings and go, hey, I really like this guy. I think we should take him, and be the advocate for you, because you need an advocate in those meetings. Otherwise, you're just going to get cast aside and thrown later to the board. Now, my bonus tip is don't jump into scholarship talk right away. Let the relationship build. It's going to come later as far as a scholarship offer. You really should never bring up scholarships or if I'm going to get an offer until later in the process, when it becomes more clear of when that time might be. They bring it up first, or you need to bring it up because just in terms of timing, you feel like it might be getting later down the wire, and you're just trying to figure out if this might be even a possible option for you. Don't ask on that first phone call if they don't bring it up, hey, am I gonna get an offer, or are you guys gonna offer me? Build a relationship first, prioritize that, especially if you're early on, like a junior or a sophomore. One of my players that we work with handled his first call like a pro after we prepped, and that one conversation allowed him to get an offer the very next month. Now, you have to realize that the first call is just one step in the process, and most families mess up what comes next. That's why I created a free recruiting playbook. It walks you through every step after that first call, from follow-ups to campus visits. You can download it using the link below. And if you really want to understand how parents can make or break their son's recruiting process, watch this next video. I share exactly what my family got wrong and how you can avoid these same mistakes to give your son the best shot possible.